Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being at the regular session City Council meeting this Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Before we get going, item number 1 is going to be our invocation. We welcome up David Slider with Grace First Presbyterian Church.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we come before you with grateful hearts, thankful for the things that we have. We're thankful for this community. We're thankful for beautiful weather. And God, may we always remember that you are the creator of all those things. God, we ask that you would be with the Mike Howard family at the loss of his son, tragic loss of his son, MJ. Pray that you would just surround them with your peace and your love, that you would comfort them in this time of grief for them, that those who know him well would reach out and be a strong presence in their life at this time. God, we ask that you would continue to guide this council as they continue to lead this city in the direction that is not only good for Weatherford, but it is pleasing in your sight. And we ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. It is now 6:01, and we will call this meeting to order and announce that we have a quorum with all council members aside from Mayor Paul Paschal present. Next item of interest is pledges to allegiance of the United States and Texas flag, led by Councilman Luke Williams.
Please join me in the pledges. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Luke. Item number 4 is items of community interest.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, just a few quick highlights from around town. It's that magical time in Texas when you need a jacket in the morning, sunscreen by noon, and an extra cup of coffee just to keep up with everything going on. Congratulations to our police chief, Jason Hayes, on 25 years with the city of Weatherford. That's 25 years of service, leadership, and ensuring no donut goes uneaten on his watch. Another congratulation goes out this time to Battalion Chief Wilson on graduating from the Texas Fire Chief Academy. After 2 years of rigorous training, Chief Wilson has earned his Certified Fire Executive designation, proof that fighting fires is only half the battle when there are budgets, policies, and PowerPoint presentations to conquer. This past weekend, Jack-o'-lantern nights drew great crowds, and our Parks and Recreation team stayed flexible after Friday's rain by honoring all Friday tickets on Sunday. Families enjoyed a beautiful evening of pumpkins, lights, and fall fun, and we appreciate everyone who came out and rolled with the weather right along with us. And the Chamber of Commerce is breaking new ground, literally. The Chamber kicks off construction on their brand new building at 1624 Holland Lake Drive on November 4th. There will be levels, speeches, and plenty of community spirit. And I was at the animal shelter earlier today, and I wanted to take a second to brag on the outstanding year that they had. The team has been busy. They had 2,195 adoptions over the last year. They've expanded their outreach, and they're helping more animals than ever. From day-to-day care to special programs like their trap, neuter, release, and barn cat placements, they're making a real difference for our community's four-legged residents. Thank you to the staff and volunteers that make it all possible. And there's an emu there for adoption if anybody is interested. If you're looking for some more fun around town, shop local and explore treasures at First Monday Trade Days, October 31st through November 2nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Heritage Park. And you can join the Weatherford Police and Weatherford College Police for Safe Halloween at Weatherford College on October 31st at 6 p.m. It's a safe and spooky good time for the whole family. And on November 8th, stick around after the Veterans Day Parade for the Chamber of Commerce's inaugural Veterans Day event on York Avenue, honoring those who've served. There will be food trucks, vendors, military vehicles, live music, kids' activities, and more. For information on these and other events, you can visit experienceweatherford.com.
Thank you, Ms. Aaron. Mr. Hotop, got any extra?
I do not.
Okay. Next item is approval of the minutes. 5A, consider approval of the minutes of the City Council regular meeting held on October 14th, 2025.
Make a motion to accept as presented.
Motion made by Councilman Williams, second by Mr. Tiskus. And we'll vote. Thank y'all for that. Next item is consent agenda items. Would y'all like to look at these as a body, or would you like to pull anything off? We can talk about it separately after.
Mayor Pro Tem, could we please pull off 6A through 6C and 6J?
Understood? Any others, gentlemen? Okay. With that in mind, we will now take a vote on consent agenda items 6D through 6I.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Tiskus, second by Councilmember Wilder. And that passes. Great. Okay, and looking at 6A through 6C, council, if y'all are okay with it, I will read these off individually. We'll talk about them as a group, but then we'll have to vote on them individually at the end as well. Are y'all comfortable with that?
Sure.
Okay. 6A, consider a request for preliminary plat approval for University Hills Phase 3 and 4, being 97 residential lots and approximately 39.61 acres of land being generally located along Rick Williams Memorial Highway, City of Weatherford, Parker County, Texas, SBDP-25-0010. 6B, consider a request for final plat approval for University Hills Phase 3, being 55 residential lots on approximately 25.00 acres of land being generally located alongside Rick Williamson Memorial Highway, City of Weatherford, Parker County, Texas, SBD-25-0012. And 6C, consider request for final plat approval for University Hills Phase 4, being 42 residential lots on approximately 14.61 acres of land being generally located along Rick Williamson Memorial Highway, City of Weatherford, Parker County, Texas, SBD-25-0011. That is a lot for an Azle graduate. Let's hear it.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. What we have before us, I have one presentation that will be for preliminary plat and final plats for University Hills Phase 3 and 4. This is approximately 40 acres. It is 97 residential lots, one HOA lot. The preliminary plat, final plat for Phase 3, final plat for Phase 4 went through Planning and Zoning Commission and is before you. The conditions on site, all of the site conditions met our criteria. In particular, all of the lot sizes meet our minimum requirements. The topography lends itself to drainage up in the upper center, which is highlighted on the slide in yellow. So you'll see how the subdivision layout is in plan view, as well as looking at the topography. In addition to that, this will be provided with all city services with the exception of electric, which will either be Encore or Tri-County. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat and final plat subject to all the requirements of the subdivision ordinance. Staff recommends approval of the plats.
Mr. McDonald, I do have one question for you. You had talked about the utilities, power utilities specifically. Currently, is University Hills that way as well? The lots that are there now, are they on Weatherford services?
Yes, I believe they are on the other services.
Yeah, so they'll they'll get water and sewer service from the city of Weatherford, the electric services through Tri-County. It's actually outside the Weatherford Electric certified area.
Understood, great. Councilmember Wilder, you had asked for these to be pulled. Do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, he addressed everything I'd asked him to, just make sure that we understood that everything meets our criteria that we've set in our policies, and that the retention pond is sufficient to handle that flow that you saw in the topography map coming downhill.
Understood. Gentlemen, any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve 6A. I did have a quick question, clarification question. That HOA lot, is that for the detention pond?
It is.
Okay, specifically. I will second the motion, or Councilwoman Howland.
Understood. We have a motion to accept 6A by Councilmember Tiskus, second by Councilmember Wilder. We'll vote on 6A. Okay, that motion carries. Now we need to take a vote on 6B. Council, do I need to read off 6B?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Matt Tiskus and a second by Heidi Wilder for 6B. Let's take a vote on it. And finally, 6C. Motion for approval by Councilmember Matt Tiskus and a second for approval by Councilmember Luke Williams. And that vote passes. Another agenda item on the consent agenda we need to look at is 6J. Consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with DRI under the TIPS program for construction services related to 221 North Main plaster removal project in the amount not to exceed $155,000 for a total aggregate fiscal year expenditure of $780,910. We invite Matt Lepla, Director of Public Works. Welcome.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item before you is the removal of plaster, kind of one of the final pieces left, kind of part of that remodel that the city's doing on the building at 221 North Main. Be happy to answer any questions.
So one of the things, just kind of a brief recap. So we initially purchased the property, it was about $187,000. One of the things we had figured out as we went through the process on the exterior, the asbestos needed to be removed. So that was the first step to that. And so as part of that asbestos, though, it did remove some of the existing mortar and things out of that. So what it left is the exterior of the building there, and again, two different contractors, but left part of the exterior of that exposed. And so what we saw is the mortar joints in there. It is an 1880s era building. It's just old mortar and it needs to be redone. If we don't redo that, then basically the structural integrity in the walls have the potential to have some failures. So that needs to be redone, and that was part of what was exposed or left exposed with the asbestos removal. So.
I believe that also I had asked Dawn, the financial aspect to this on ROI. So could you expound on that for us, Dawn?
You got it. We have total costs into this building, including this $155,000 would be about $875,000. Selling this building could yield anywhere from about $400,000 to $600,000 once all is said and done.
Ms. Dawn, could you say that? Well, I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you. Could you say that
You're
one more
fine.
time, a little louder? I apologize.
Total costs that we've invested into this building, including this $155,000, is $875,000. When we go to sell the building on the market, we should still yield somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $600,000.
Understood. Good. So we think the assessed value of the building is around $1.4 million at this time.
Somewhere in the neighborhood, yes.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, council? No, I did have some comments, really. Really, it just kind of thought-provoking going through this process. This property was originally purchased, I'm sure, just a background that we know, but maybe others don't. It was purchased under the understanding that potentially looking at maybe putting in the loop or the roadway to ease traffic. That assessment was done and deemed that it would not actually alleviate traffic and was not going to happen. Then this, to me, kind of became a kind of an investment property at that time, pretty much immediately, right? And so we've been doing that, investing into our downtown on a regular basis. This building, being the corner building off of Main, this would do that. We could get it looking like we want it to look. We've already mitigated our asbestos, and so now we get the facade kind of looking like we want and take care of the structure integrity of the building. So still yielding a profit and still looking at selling it in the future. So this really kind of makes sense to me.
Yes, one of the things we commonly hear is that people don't like to or they're scared to deal with asbestos for obvious reasons. It is a carcinogenic, can be easily dealt with. There's a process though, and so by removing that barrier, that makes it easier for the city to be able to transact on that building in the future. But by removing it, it left this next step that we feel the building needs to go through in order to preserve it for years to come. So, and that's to remove the rest of that plaster, because there are pieces of that come off and then repoint the rock that's there.
Understood. With that being said, we have a motion by Councilmember Wilder for approval, I suppose,
Yes, sir.
and a second by Matt Tiskus. Let's take a vote. And that passes. Fantastic. We'll move on to regular agenda items. Regular agenda items 7A, consider authorizing the procurement of pavement resurfacing services from Reynolds Asphalt and Construction Company through an existing contract with Grand Prairie under the interlocal agreement in the amount not to exceed $1,900,000. Matt Lepla.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. Before you today is a request for consideration and approval of a contract with Reynolds Asphalt for the removal and replacement of multiple thoroughfare and residential asphalt roadways, an amount not to exceed $1.9 million. This will be the third year of our thoroughfare maintenance initiative. This year's proposed projects will include East Bankhead Drive, Foster Drive, Hilltop Drive, and Adams Drive. You might notice a gap in the Bankhead project. We will defer that section of roadway due to a scheduled utility project that's scheduled for next year. And a total, with these roads combined for the thoroughfare roads, they account for about 7 lane miles of roadway for our thoroughfares. Additionally, we are incorporating a residential component into this year's contract with Reynolds Asphalt. We will be performing wedge milling and an overlay on several roadways within the Bedinger subdivision. If you're not familiar with the Bedinger subdivision, it kind of corners in to Meadowview and Azle Highway there. Along with the Bedinger subdivision, we will also be including Grant Drive. Now, Grant Drive isn't on this presentation, this slideshow. If you're not familiar with Grant Drive, it's a roadway that is just south of the Pythian home. It does connect to Bankhead. The reason we chose that, we had to leave off that section of Bankhead. This is right next to Bankhead. That makes it, easily to get to for that contractor. The condition of that roadway matches up, and also that section of Grant is the last section of that subdivision because our in-house crews paved the rest of those roads last year. So we complete Grant, that subdivision will be complete. So I just want to emphasize that we are not diverting resources away from our thoroughfare maintenance goals. Public Works staff will continue to perform residential rehabilitation projects throughout the year throughout our community. This inclusion of these residential streets in the Reynolds contract is a strategic supplement to our ongoing efforts. The selected residential streets are strong candidates for remove and replace treatment, as the subgrade is intact and does not require the full depth rehabilitation typically performed by our in-house crews. So that is all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Council, you got any questions for Mr. Lepla?
I have one question.
Ms. Wilder?
On the portion that we're not doing of Bankhead, you said that, is that the water and wastewater project?
Yes, ma'am.
That we see at the utility board? So that is supposed to be completed somewhere in '26? So that is the portion we're not doing, then we will do a resurfacing of that whole section, correct?
That's the intent, yes. Well, if you're familiar with those, they're Allen Street to approximately 180 is where that project's for that wastewater project's going on. They'll get through that project, and then what we like to do is come back and resurface once they're complete. It just doesn't align right at the moment.
Understood. What, obviously, these paving contractors, we know historically, they're kind of in and out, right? They come in when the weather's convenient for this area and this project. If they're reasonably close, they'll run over here if it's raining somewhere else that they're working. When's a reasonable time frame that you expect that rentals will be in and out?
They're on notice with approval to hopefully start this month in November. That's, I have a verbal agreement with that, but as you know, the things change to weather dependent,
Sure.
workload dependent, those kinds of things. But yeah, we're hoping they want to get in here, get it done, and move on. So
Sure. No, I completely understand. Their business is very weather dependent. The other thing that I like is having worked with them in the past, citizens and staff seem to really like that they were in, they were out, they did a good job. They didn't leave a mess behind and really left everybody very satisfied. So I'm glad to see them back. With that said,
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm sorry.
No, I think it is worth mentioning, because I don't know that it's completely understood by everybody. South Main, North Main, Palo Pinto, Fort Worth Highway, Santa Fe, those are all TxDOT roadways the city does not control. So this dedicated fund that the council has put forward in each budget cycle over the last 3 years, which is really as a benefit of strong sales tax dollars when we set aside these $1 million for this, are more non-traditional thoroughfares, but are thoroughfares that are high-volume local streets that Matt and others have identified to really help reduce, the wear on that pavement. And this is really just meant to supplement the $1.9 million that we put into the annual street maintenance program, which Matt has, that he targets all the individual neighborhoods, and we try to hit every quadrant. And I think he talked about that, but going back to those major thoroughfares are not where these dollars are spent. They're not intended to be, and they won't be, because those are TxDOT roadways. So,
yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I should have said so before. So
I've got one quick follow-up. How often do we have the roads graded? I know that happens every so often. Can you remind me, or when the next time that's coming?
yeah, we kind of changed up our process last year we're wanting to get more consistent data instead of waiting every 4 to 6 years, how we've done in the past. So last year they came in and did a quarter of our community. This year they'll do another quarter, and our plan is just kind of keep them rotating, keep collecting data. Then they make some assumptions, just with time curves and things like that of the other areas deteriorating. Right. So yeah, we're going to continue to collect data as much as we can. It just kind of helps track our efforts as well.
And I'm assuming that we're making, as the mayor would like to say, data-driven decisions on which roads to repair based on.
Correct. That's one aspect of it. We help our utility team fill that. We like to make sure that, yes, but we definitely take those conditions into play when we make our
Very good.
plan.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we have a motion for approval from Heidi Wilder, second by Matt Tiskus. We'll take a vote. Motion carries. See some new roads in the next month or two. That's great. Okay, item number 8A is staff reports. We have 8A, short-term rental update. Mr. Scott McDonald.
Good evening again, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Brief update on where we're at with the short-term rentals. As far as the timeline, in January 25, just as a reminder, that was the actual adoption. When we got into April through May, we launched a dedicated website, or web page, so that we could ultimately inform the public of what our status was while we were reviewing and evaluating products for a software solution. June, ultimately, the ordinance became effective. And with that, we had an application. We were using our existing GovBuilt software to be able to track and pull in any of those applications as necessary. July, we updated the city's banner in the STR program, short-term rental program. We provided an email notification to our local real estate professionals, trying to put them, just to keep them in the loop in the process of where we were going. Come August, we were working through the notification process more effectively. We've mailed notices to all of those owners. And then fast forward to October and where we're at today, we had sent additional notification letters, which would be going through from Avenue, which was the selected software solution. The official launch of that website has occurred. And then staff is making direct contact with property owners. So we're beginning that first phase in the enforcement process by virtue that we've sent out an additional notification. We have actually went and knocked on every door, and staff has called every single property owner. And so we've made contact with 99% in person. Through that dialogue, we've found that, greater than 80% were not aware. Oh, the letter that I received. So they are now aware of it. They are, I think, very positive. I believe that we have those folks that will get into compliance rather than us having to do any enforcement, and really it's through that personal contact. The software has a number of key features. So we have the online registration system so that people can apply, renew, and ultimately manage their permitting. It has automatic compliance and enforcement tools built into it. So again, it is monitoring the Airbnb and Vrbo and similar sites for any of those listings. As those listings show up, they're making contact and working through that, and they provide notifications to those property owners as well as to staff to make sure. Additionally, it has a 24/7 complaint hotline, so if neighbors are unhappy with noise or, with vehicles and parking, they're working through that. They're logging a case. The public is able to track and be able to see, the process and our responsiveness within it. We have some very robust data dashboards. We'll provide updates to you, council, in our quarterly report that'll really kind of show where we're at, how we're tracking, and how well the program is working. In addition to that, we're already currently using this same software solution for our hotel tax. And so it provides an opportunity for tax filing and payment integration, so easier for the owners of those properties. With that, I had a map, but pop up, I almost skipped it. There we go. So in summary, we have 31 short-term rentals. Roughly a 47% occupancy rate is what is showing through the software solution. We have had 2 of those applications approved. We denied 1, which was in a commercial zoning district. And as a result of our calls, we've got 2 applications in process. So I think we're trending in the right direction and anticipate that we're going to continue on the path of getting these registered. And I'll stand for any questions.
Understood. Thank you for that.
What
Counsel? Go ahead, sorry.
What happens if people don't come into compliance? What's the time frame that you're going to give them? What is the next steps to try to encourage these 31 or 28?
We're optimistic based on all the conversations that staff has had, and we certainly are going to go for compliance rather than enforcement. But we do have tools that are available to us as far as writing citations or whether or not we placard the structure to indicate that this is not able to be operated. So, but we'll work through, gently as we can, try to get people into compliance. We're shooting for a drop dead date of December 1, and then after that point, if we have to start citing, then we'll start citing.
Sure.
Scott, just as a reminder, what is the cost of a permit?
They're at $200. Yep.
That's annually.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure. Scott, I appreciate your approach, as obviously these are, many of these are our citizens now that have these STRs. Very few are not, and so I can appreciate the gentleness, but also just as a reminder, I mean, we had town hall meetings about this, and we had good attendance during those. We had public input. The public was able to give input at both of those, along with any council meetings that we talked about these in the future. So this, I just don't want people to think that this was an off-the-wall idea that council came up with ourselves, when the reality was it was a community-driven decision, and those that have these were in attendance. And so I can appreciate we have 13%. That sounds better than 2 or 4, right? So I can appreciate that we have 13% volunteer compliance at this point, but look forward to seeing the 31 also comply as well with their inspections, along with paying in their HOT funds. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate the presentation.
You want a follow-up report on that in 3 months?
That'd be great. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah.
I think you had
Just on
mentioned that
something
already,
else, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's put that in there. Okay, with that, we'll come to item number 9, which is future agenda items. Council, staff, any future agenda items?
No, sir.
Just a reminder that we will just have one meeting because of the Thanksgiving date in November. And I'll pull that date up real quick for you. That meeting is going to be November 18th. So our normal observed meeting is on November 11th, but that is Veterans Day, so we'll skip that, and we've moved it to November 18th for the public.
Thank you very much. With that, council, with y'all's permission, I'd like to move item number 12, citizens' comments on non-agenda items, up ahead of item number 10, which will be our executive session item. Y'all comfortable with that?
Sure, please do.
Okay. Item number 12, citizen comment on non-agenda items. Anybody have anything? Okay, with nothing, we will roll on to item number 10, executive session. That is going to be item number 10A, section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, 613 North Alamo Street, Weatherford, Texas. And we will go into recess for executive session at 6:31. Okay, we are back out of executive session and in regular session at 6:44. Mr. Mayor, that was an executive session less than 15 minutes. Just want to make sure he knows that. Do we have anyone wanting to make a motion on executive session item 10A?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve a contract of sale for the city's purchase of property located at 613 North Alamo Street, Weatherford, Texas, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract of sale and all closing-related documents, including a temporary residential leaseback of the property to the seller for up to 90 days.
Motion by Councilmember Wilder, second by Councilman Luke Williams. Let's take a vote. And executive item passes. Last item on the agenda is item number 13, one we've been looking for all night long. We stand adjourned at 6:45 p.m. Thank you very much.